is there any sort of actionable steps that the working class should take right now to prepare for this robot transition that you're talking about?
I mean, the actionable step is learn
About the robots.
digital. Right?
Digital.
Like understand digital. For example, how much content's available on YouTube right now? Like
infinite, I don't know.
Right? What can you get for free on YouTube and what can you create of value, right? If you're in the business of content creation, my advice would be study digital channels. It's like, should I go and become a stage actor on Broadway? It's a much smaller thing. Mr. Beast can get 100 million subscribers. You can get 20 million subscribers. You're not getting 20 million subscribers if you do the thing that your parents' parents did. So I think that you want to look at digital platforms. There's digital communication like X or Instagram. There's YouTube and the like. But there's also digital intelligence.
Let's just stress test that first point a bit. I guess a lot of content creators are thinking at the moment, now because of these frontier models that can produce video, content, pictures, a kid in Mumbai or Manhattan, where we are now, can set up an agent while they're asleep and say, listen, just post 100 videos while I'm asleep on this every single platform. Actually, I'll make 5 agents and I'll ask all of them to post 100 videos each. So you're going to have this, in terms of supply and demand, presumably that's a supply shock. There's this slop tsunami coming in. And then if you look at demand of attention online, it is arguably fixed. Financial Times did a report said that young people are actually starting to come down in terms of time spent online. Slightly older generations are starting from a lower base. They're still going up, but they're starting from a lower base. So you've got a tsunami slop of supply and fixed demand. Again, this business feels a little bit insecure. Actually, a lot of the major podcasters are actually down on YouTube. If I look at the top, who I would consider the sort of top 5 podcasters in my niche, every single one of them is down at least 50% in the last 24 months.
Well, the solution is certainly not to not pay attention, right? So, for example, if you're in the business of creating content right now, you would ask the question, can I enhance the content with AI? Or can I better market or distribute the content with AI?
What is the moat?
The moat's going to be the most talented content, the person creating the best stuff that everybody wants to see. There are videos being created like, here's a walkthrough of a 16th century warship. And, I don't know if you've seen a guy constructs the entire warship from the keel and he creates the ribs and he shows you the lower deck and the ballast and he takes you through every step. And it's a 3-dimensional video animation. It takes about an hour. And it's absolutely riveting. I have no reason to care about 16th century warships, but I can't take my eyes off it because it's just so fascinating to see him explain everything.
Are you saying creativity is the moat still? Or understanding what humans want and then delivering it, which I guess is creativity?
Let's say the Led Zeppelin example. But what you see in human history is within 10 years, of whenever there's a new technology platform, there's some geniuses. They push it to the limit and they do 95% of everything that can be done. And it all happens within 10 years and they live forever. So why didn't anybody before Beethoven do stuff with the piano? Well, the piano comes out, some genius does stuff with the piano, right? And between Beethoven and Chopin and, a few players, it's like, it's not clear to me if humans try for another 10,000 years, they'll do much better. So with Led Zeppelin, you had electric guitars and you had amplification and everything kind of clicked late 60s. Like the sound of the early 60s was not quite there. And then by 1971, 72, you could do some amazing stuff. And if you think about all the classic rock between 1970 and 1980, you have human creativity pushing the edge of the envelope in so many directions. And then you hit this diminishing return. And then along comes sampling, right? And then you get Swedish House Mafia and Avicii, and that's new technology. And then they push it to the extreme. And then along comes YouTube, and Justin Bieber comes out of nowhere, and Mr. Beast comes out of nowhere, and they push it to the extreme. And what you see with every generation is, I give you a new thing, whether it's a piano or an electric guitar or internet. Think about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and what he did at just about the point when you could do that with the web. And then think about the early mobile apps, WhatsApp and the like. And it's like, what you want to do if you want to create these incredible success things is you want to locate the magic opportunity right at the right point on the S curve where it just now became commercially viable to do it. And it's a 0 to 1 moment, and you want to be there. You want to be the first person that applies that technology, right, to this new idea. Like, what did our company do to go from nothing to $60 billion or from $1 billion to $60 billion? We were the first company to take digital capital, Bitcoin, and put it together with digital credit and a digital treasury model. So we created a credit instrument, a security that you could never have created before. You couldn't have made it 10 years ago. You couldn't build it on top of anything other than Bitcoin. So we needed to get to the point where we had 10 or $20 billion of capital, and then we could create this thing that was a multi-billion-dollar thing, and that becomes resonant. And that window is like 12 to 24 months. And you go through that window and you create something that might be a $100 billion thing because you go through. If you went through 36 months early, you smack into a wall and you fail. And if you wait, like at this point, our company is 20 times bigger than the next biggest one, 50 times bigger than the company doing something similar. Did we plan it? Not at all. We found some extraordinary cool thing. We committed to it with all of our heart and soul, and we declared we were going to make it work come hell or high water, and we got punched in the face 100 times. And every single time we ran into a problem, we stopped, we recalibrated, we went a different direction. And the process of creating something beautiful, like the beautiful thing, like everybody wants a bank account that pays 10%. So if you can figure out how to give people this thing they want, with a new technology that was impossible, that did not exist 5 years or 3 years earlier, then you resonate in the society, right? You go viral. Like, we were just the first ones to get there. It exploded. If you gave me $1 billion right now and said run a marketing campaign, it wouldn't be as effective. Like, you couldn't buy the success with $1 billion of marketing. You just have to. The Led Zepp guys, they didn't spend $1 billion marketing. You got to be in the right place, the right time, and you have to have the courage to offer people the new thing.
I have been thinking a lot about this idea of, you said, if you spent $1 billion, you couldn't go as viral as that. And if someone came along and spent a ton of money today, they couldn't go as big as, let's say, Michael Jackson. When we go back through history, I was thinking about this idea because I watched the Michael Jackson documentary recently, and he was at a level of fame that is, I don't think we've ever seen since. And I think part of the reason why was because there was a constraint on the distribution channels back then. So in my house, there was 20 albums over there, box set albums, and Michael Jackson was like 3 of them. And then the other way that we could consume was the TV over there, and there was like 6 channels, and MTV was one of them, and it was Michael Jackson all day. In the world we live in now, where there's my phone experience is a completely different phone experience to yours because of AI. AI is learning what I like and showing me my own little version of the world. I wonder if it's possible to be as big as a Michael Jackson once was for anybody these days. And actually, I even with the YouTuber you mentioned earlier, I wonder now if fame or being a content creator or a musician once looked like this sort of like high ceiling, and then you're known for 100 years like Michael Jackson. And now with algorithms that are personalized, does it now look like this? Shorter and shallower.
Is it possible to get big? You could say, well, I can't get as big as Michael Jackson, but on the other hand, Elon Musk got big, right? Like there are things that get big, right? Companies get big. OpenAI went from nothing to how many users in just a few months. So I think what you could say is going viral is about hitting a resonating frequency in the civilization, whether it's an artistic frequency or it's a political frequency or it's a technical frequency. Yeah, there are some things where there's going to be a glut. There's going to be Well, let's take Instagram, right? It's like, on one hand, a billion people have like bad photos posted online. But on the other hand, there are people that manage to get, 8 million followers and they, are the Kardashians, You have these people that get massively big, and that's the other side of the equation. So I don't really know how it all plays out, except for the fact that it seems clear that there is room for human creativity and innovation. And if your goal is to make a contribution, right? If you're in your working years where you want to upgrade the world and make a difference and be remembered for something, then a pretty simple principle is don't keep doing the same thing over and over, working harder and harder every year, fighting against the modern automation, epidemic, right? Don't try to outwork the robots. It's like you're lamenting, how difficult it is for a content creator, but let me remind you that it used to be you would go be a college professor and teach 200 students a year for 20 years. And you would feel that your life contribution was 4,000 people whose minds you touched. And now you get 4,000 people a second. Okay? So you're judging yourself against the next thing. But if you look back in time, technology has given us the ability to amplify our intellect and amplify our creativity in a way that is unprecedented in human history.
Yeah, I think in part I'm wondering now if we're kind of technology said, okay, you can reach more people in TV, radio, all these things, and actually now with intelligence, it's saying, oh, we can figure out exactly what Michael wants. So we're starting to live in these smaller echo chambers where your creative idea or your creative piece of content reaching lots of people is going to become harder because the algorithms are now in the way and they're deciding who sees what, and they're optimizing for the platform. The platform's monetary desire. The other thing that I think is really interesting, and I've been mulling for the last couple of months, is that which is really, really hard and scarce, and actually you could say something being hard and scarce are the same, because to create something scarce is also hard, like you did with that financial instrument. Very few people on earth could have created that. We don't run public companies, we don't have the information, etc. Or even that YouTuber you mentioned who walks you through those, the 1600s or whatever. That is very hard to do. I've theorized that actually pursuing that which is hard and scarce, getting you to come here today is not easy. So that's kind of my moat. Michelle Obama coming and sitting down with me here is still kind of my moat, is what we should aim at. What do you think of that as a theory?
I agree. Let's say you have a business, whatever your business is. Right now, the right thing to do is to spend an intense time with the AI, considering what are all the ways you can upgrade and improve the product or the service you create, right? For example, like, it used to be you do this in English, and the issue is, well, what about Japanese or Chinese or French or whatever? And, the hard way is you learn 20 languages, and, but then how does your guest, or we translate it, or you hire, we used to spend money to hire translators, but now you could have the AI translate this into 100 languages. Right now, the question is, should you or not? Can I enhance it? Right? It's interesting when someone describes something, but you're like, well, let's just put up a chart of the S-curve there. And then the next step is, can I market it better or distribute it better? And the next step is, am I creating something that'll be valuable in a decade? Well, will it be valuable in 100 years?
Well, this is probably a good time to mention this. 24 months ago, we started exactly that, which was, there are aliens who just never...
No. は科学的素養がある人だよ。宇宙人を隠せば。
Arabic?
ما أكثر سؤالا يطرحه الناس الآن حول
Still me.
Yeah, and ask yourself, how many people that do podcast interviews offer that level of quality of content? And I think you're outstripping, like, I don't know if anybody else has done it that well.
Neither do I.
Right?
We started almost 3 years ago. And for the first 24 months, it was a tragic failure. So you had the data scientist in the corner of our office failing for 24 months. And then about 12 months ago, for the first time ever, we saw that the translation technology underneath us had improved and that we could get the view duration in Spanish to be higher than English.
And how many months do you think Jimmy Page spent trying to master the electric guitar? More than 24 months?
Yeah, a lot longer.
Like, my advice to an entrepreneur is you focus, you commit. If you're successful in less than 4 years, you got lucky. It's if it takes you 10 years, well, between 4 and 10 years is very, very normal. If you haven't had success by the 10-year point, you're probably not cut out for the business. But what you're doing it's totally logical. It's like, is AI going to remake this industry? The first issue is, can you make the product better? And the second question is, what's it worth? Right? Right. You can do that. Can you get paid? And by the way, even if you didn't get paid, I would argue that your audience have limited attention span. It's like, I don't have time to listen to every Lex Friedman, every Joe Rogan, every diary of the CEO, and every one of the next 20. And so I'm going to become loyal. I'm going to become a customer and a fan of whoever serves me the best content. And certainly if I'm a native Portuguese speaker or a native Russian speaker, you all of a sudden just leaped right to the top.
This goes to my point about hard and scarce, because people in Portugal maybe have never heard Michael Saylor before in Portuguese. So in terms of scarce, it's actually the only interview now available that is 2 hours long of Michael Saylor talking in Cantonese with Stephen, And so that we then are competing. That's kind of the moat then, right?
Well, and that becomes a benefit to all your guests. You're the distribution channel for me to send the message of digital capital, digital empowerment to the world, and then your guests become your moat. I think that with every single business, it's pretty clear you have to ask the question, is technology going to cannibalize my business or disrupt it? And am I going to be the one that embraces it and evolves and grows with it? Or am I going to fight it? And then, of course, you're in a dialogue with the market. For example, the great thing about what you've done is if you've done it, you can look and see how it runs and whether YouTube actually expands your reach. And then you can look at the engagement and figure out whether or not you're able to monetize that and whether you're able to convert that. And then you tweak it, right, and adjust. And you're 6 months or 12 months can be enough that you have a lasting advantage forever, right? If you're 12 months ahead of everybody else.
And you're compounding in.
Yeah, it compounds over time, and then maybe they never catch you. But that's the story of every business, right? That's the story of Ford Motor Company and Standard Oil. That's the story of Microsoft. It's the story of Facebook. It's everybody's story, which is you just have to focus, commit, and then if you're good enough, invariably what happens is your customers will make you the winner. The world needs someone to do what you do. Like someone has to win, right? There needs to be a winner. The audience out there, once they want what you do, they want to walk into the living room and figure out what Obama was thinking, or they want to hear, what Mark Zuckerberg was thinking, and they want someone to bring them into that living room. They want you to host them in. They need someone to do that job. You don't have to be perfect or better than anybody ever lived. You need to be better than the people that are currently doing it now, or you need to be one of, a handful of people that are doing it, because at that point, right, the audience comes to you, the guests come to you. You're making a market, right? You're the market maker in that information. It's just the real key is know what your value proposition is, stay in your lane. Don't try to compete in an area where you're not going to be the best in the world. But on the other hand, right, the one thing that's pretty clear is that anybody can have the best in the world in like 2 seconds at their fingertips. And so you don't want to be the third best. You don't want to be mediocre across a bunch of things. You want to be exceptional in one area. Figure out what that one area is, and then maybe you have 2 million followers, then 200 million followers, right? Then eventually, over 100 years, 2 billion. You just have to have this vision.
One of the things that comes with the pursuit of being first is you go over the hill, you take the arrows. as the phrase goes. And so
Yeah.
even in that experiment that I just showed you that we started 3 years ago, which was trying to figure out how we translate the diary of a CEO into lots of different languages, it sounds simple. Problem is you discover, you go, fuck, Spanish words are longer. So the video in Spanish is 3 hours 10, but in English it's 3 hours.
Oops.
It's just 3 hours. And then the video is going to be out. And then Cantonese, how long is Cantonese words? And then you go, oh my God, you have to then translate all the thumbnails and all the titles in 20 languages at the same time. And that's why you end up 3 years in when you thought it was just a 1 hour job. But also, if you zoom out even further, there's this graveyard of other things we tried that never worked. There's the other 90% of experiments we ran in the corner that did nothing. And I always say to the team, there's 2 things a year that define us. And of that, in our failure and experimentation team, which is literally what it's called, we tried 60 things.
Yeah.
But there's 5 of them are meh. 2 of them, game changing. So the attitude of dealing with failure at the very forefront of trying to be first, I think is something people don't talk about enough.
Focus your energy, guard your time. Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do the thing. Right? Most of the time, the reason people fail is they get successful in their 30s and they're successful at one thing. And it's like all of a sudden they've decided they're going to do 10 other things because they're good at everything. And they dilute their focus in 10 ways. People always underestimate the maintenance obligation, like always. And so the right solution to growth is I would like to make whatever I'm doing twice as good. And if I do 10 things to make it 10% better, I'm probably diluting, distracting the phenomenon that causes most businesses to fail. It's dilutive distractions or it's dilutive expansions. They do one thing, it works, and then instead of turning their energy in to make that better and better and better and better, they start to bifurcate and trifurcate, and they expand and they overreach to too many areas. It's like the dude with the great restaurant, and he's got the second restaurant, and he's got a chain of 37 restaurants, and they all suck. And it's like, yeah, I remember the guy used to have, there's no one, by the way, with a failed restaurant chain that wasn't a successful restaurateur at scale 1. Right? Like you didn't get to a failure of 37 or 62 or 437 until you had a good one. But it's very, very common that people think that they can just cookie cutter these things out, and you can't. And so the conundrum that you're putting your finger on is, I want to grow and progress, but I want to not dilute and distract. And that requires this maturity of saying, I tried it, had a moderate success, but it's not enough, kill it, right? Like, and move on, because it's just not going to work.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.